My talk today actually came to me because of events that are about to happen. There's going to be a total eclipse of the sun on August 21st of this year that will cross North America, and many people will get to see it. It's going to be quite an event. I've never experienced a total eclipse. I don't know if any of you have either, because I think the last one that occurred over North America was over 90 years ago. So I don't think any of us in this room were at least functioning in this body. You may have memories of it from another time, but not now. But the funny thing about it is that there are those who believe, as this article I was reading about it, that this will be a harbinger of the end of the world. And then the article goes on to say the next eclipse will be, and it's funny how that works out, isn't it? It's very much like one time I was watching the 700 Club. Yes, I watch Pat Robertson on the 700 Club every once in a while. I used to, I don't so much anymore. And he was talking about this very same thing. He was saying, you know, we're living in the final days. This is the time when this is the end of the world is coming, and all the signs are starting to fall into place, starting in 1947, the year I was born, starting then when Israel reformed its nation. That was the first clue, that was the first sign, and all of these signs are falling into place and so forth. So he talked about this for the first half hour of the show, about how the end was coming very soon. And then the next half hour of the show, he talked about long-term investments. So how does that work out? That's sort of like that old Henny Youngman joke that he used to say, the doctor gave me 6 months to live, and I told him that I couldn't afford the bill, and so he gave me a year. It's odd sometimes that people think that the end is near. They think they're seeing signs that tell them that the end is near. Like I said, I was born in 1947 in this month, and so you can imagine that for the last 70 years, I have been hearing, as have you, that the end is near. It just goes on with every possible thing that you can think of. In 1831, there was a group led by a man named Mr. Miller, who had gone through the Bible and had interpreted different passages in the Bible to the point where he had it figured out when it was going to happen. It was going to happen sometime in April, and that would be the end of the world, and he got a lot of people from lectures he was giving around the country to follow him, and they were called the Millerites. And the Millerites all got together and they went up on a hillside to observe the end of the world, which if you just think about that, that's kind of strange. But they were on this hillside waiting, and nothing happened. And so that was the end of the Millerites. They all just kind of went, and walked on home and forgot all about this. It just sort of dissolved into nothingness. You'd think that would have been enough right there, but no, it happened just recently. There was a comet that came by. What was that comet? Kahutek? Or some comet that a group of people believed that there was a spaceship behind the comet and it was coming to get them, but there wasn't enough. I guess they were overweight or something. They wouldn't be able to be pulled away on this spaceship. So instead of taking their bodies and being transported, they were only going to transport their souls. So they all died. They committed suicide and died, because they were just sure this spaceship was going to land and take them away, and it didn't happen. And so they believed in this nasty idea that carried them into another world, yes, but not the world that they had planned on going into space with these creatures who were hiding in a craft behind this comet, they were told to believe. Isn't it amazing what human beings can believe, can accept, and tell themselves this is real? It's amazing. So the question I have for any of you is, do you believe the end is near? And if you don't, why not? A physical end is not something that's in my mental vocabulary. I just don't live in that space. I did at one time. I used to see harbingers. I read the Bible and I read it literally. And so I would then start searching for everything I could to validate that prophecy that I saw in there, because I was reading it literally. But wait a minute, that's air quotes. We don't use those anymore, do we? I was reading it literally. Literally. I believe that the words on the page were in black and white, and they were meant to be accepted as truth in that form, in the physical form. Little did I realize that this was a book written not to be a history of any kind, not written to be explained or to be making prophecies for a world in the outer, but rather for a world in the inner. If you look at it that way, then you're looking at it as the way it was written by the writers when they wrote it themselves. They were writing a spiritual book to be interpreted spiritually. They weren't writing a literal book to be interpreted literally. Jesus knew this because he had these scriptures in front of him, and he was able to see these. No, he didn't have the revelation of John. That hadn't been written yet. But he did have the revelation of Daniel, which John and Daniel are extremely similar if you've ever read enough of the Bible to see the two side by side. In the book of Daniel, which Jesus would have read or would have been taught, many things occur that were signs that were to portend the end of the world as we know it. Now, when asked about this, because it was a very popular topic in Jesus' time, Jesus responded this way when his disciples asked him, "When will the end come? What will it be like?" He described to them this way: "In the end, there will be wars and rumors of wars. There will be earthquakes. There will be signs in the heaven, and you will know that the coming of man is coming soon. And when this occurs, then there will be those in the field who are suddenly caught up, and there will be a sister and a brother standing side by side in the threshing floor, and one will be caught up and disappear right in the face of the other. Then you will know that the end is near." Well, they didn't know in his time how to interpret this. What exactly did he mean? You see, Jesus was telling them a cosmic joke. There will always be wars and rumors of wars. There always have been. There have always been earthquakes, and there have always been volcanoes erupting. This is the way this planet is built. This is the way we have designed society in the outer. This is the way our egos have constructed that which we call reality. All of this is this way. Wars, rumors of wars, earthquakes, violence, all of this occurring around us. People too. Now, here's where we have to do some interpretation. Rather than looking on two people working in the field and one of them suddenly disappears, look within your consciousness. The duality nature that all of us believe holds that everything is in twos. Light, dark, hot, cold, evil, good, black, white. It goes on like this, always, in this relative one against the other. When the time comes for the great war that will end all of this, in other words, when the end comes, suddenly there's nothing but oneness. Only one will remain, he's teaching them. Only one will remain. There will be two, and suddenly one will be gone, and only one will remain. And he tells them to stay alert, keep watch, and be awake. Awaken. He's trying to get them to become conscious beings and not allow all that has happened in the past and that which they imagine that can happen in the future to be what they consider reality. Change that. Change that. Now, to do that, that means that we have to live in this moment and this moment alone. To be watching, to be observant. We have to be in this moment alone. Something occurred to me that hasn't occurred to me before about the ego. And I wanted to share this with you today. What occurred to me yesterday is this about the ego. The ego has no existence in the present moment. The ego is always doing its disturbing work, either through the past, something that occurred before, or something that it imagines can happen in the future. Do you ever think about that? The ego has no existence in the present moment. None whatsoever. Because in the present moment is that space where God is. God is now. And like Neil likes to say, you mean now, or now, or now, or now? Yes. The answer once again is yes. Yes, all of those moments, all strung together, but held together in a consciousness that only focuses on the present. Only on the present. It's only in the present that we can be vigilant. It's only in the present that we can be watchful. Because if we take our eyes off the present moment and daydream, either into the past about what already happened, or off into an imagined future, we've lost our focus on now. And when we lose our focus on now, we lose our focus on what is real. God. God alone. God alone. And we give ourselves a sense, it's only a sense, but a sense of separation, as though we are different and we are an other and we are alone. Now, this happened on the way here, and I wanted to include this and just share this with you. There's a movie out now called, I think it's called Get Out. It's written by a gentleman who is very much like our former President Obama. His father was black and his mother was white. And so he was biracial. He could be either one. He was talking today with Terry Gross on Fresh Air, as I was listening to this recorded program of it. He said that he was very proud when he was taught that you're special. You have two cultures of which you have been born through. And these two cultures are going to spread before you like a great carpet, and it will be magic for you throughout your life. And then he went to school and he had to take tests and fill out forms, and the forms would have Caucasian, or they would have white, or whatever it had, black, African American, or however they phrased it. And it would have Asian American, and it would have Hispanic, and then at the bottom, and he would say, well, I'm not all white, I'm not all black, I'm not Asian, I'm not Hispanic, I'm other. And she asked him, well, how did that make you feel? He said, lost. To feel like I was an other. I was separate, with no identity that had been hierarchically decided by somebody, somewhere, for some reason. Now, the reason I bring that up is because that's what each one of us do in our own minds to everything and everyone around us. Substratas. We do this. We just do. That's how we think. That's how we divide things up so that we can compartmentalize them and view them and give them values in our life. And when we're able to do this, the little computer that our mind also is, then we can function in this outer world. But when we do this, we're functioning not through our spiritual self, but through our ego self. We are using the small case I am to function rather than using and connecting with and utilizing the grander uppercase I am that we all are. In order for us to do that, we have to be in this moment. So I ask you again, is the end near? I sure hope so. I hope it is for all of us. I hope the end is near for all of us functioning from our ego self. That's what's happening in all of our world and has happened for so long. That's why there are wars and rumors of wars. That's why there are earthquakes. Where are the earthquakes occurring? Outside, so what? What about the ones that are occurring within us? What about those earthquakes, those shattering, shaking moments within ourselves? Why is that happening? Because we lost our focus on the present moment. We went back into something that already happened. Oh no, this is just like that time when... Or we are jumping ahead and imagining some future moment. Oh my God, this is terrible. What this is going to lead to, and whatever it is, you fill in the blank. We all do it. We do this throughout our lives. When this could be so simple. We could allow that duality within our lives to suddenly disappear, and only one is left. That one is in the moment. That one is in the now. That one is fully present. The oneness that we truly are is fully present. When that happens, then it's a good thing that the end is near. Now, here's another thing about that. So many people use this looking at Scripture thing, and they see a battle coming, a battle called Armageddon, a battle on the field of Megiddo. And they say there that the battle is so outrageous that the blood is flowing up to the horses' bridles. Well, I guess something happened on earth that hasn't happened yet, and we're back to riding horses again, because that seems to be the way that is projected into this future battle for us. All of this obviously was meant to be taken spiritually, to be viewed spiritually, not as a reality literally. One of the things that happens in this battle is that the world comes to an end. And that's usually where people quit reading, right there. Oh my gosh, the end is near, the end is near. Oh my gosh, I see it everywhere. I see the end, it's coming near. The harbingers of all of this are just all around me. I see it, I see the Antichrist. Oh, his name is, and it's, you know, it's been everybody. It's been Hitler, Bush, Clinton, you know, you name it. I mean, there's names all over the place for this. It was Gorbachev at one time, because he had a scar on his head that looked like he was bleeding in his head and so forth. There's just all sorts of conspiracy theories around this. But if that were the case, just read on to the next paragraph in this, and it states that the end came, and behold, I saw a new heaven and a new earth. Even the scriptures that are teaching about the end immediately see a renewal. And that's what happens in each one of us when we give up, when we just allow that duality that we have been contending with all our lives to pass away and to focus only on the here and now. When that happens, then suddenly there is an end to the world as we knew it, and there is a new heaven and a new earth. What does that mean, a new heaven and a new earth? Heaven is consciousness. Heaven is a symbol for consciousness. Earth is a symbol for the flesh being that we are. We still are here. We're still us. It's just that we have a new consciousness about who we are. Once we have and have attained that consciousness, it's going to slip away from time to time. It's just like anything else. You get good at it, and then you forget what you were good at, and then it comes back again, and you remember it, and it's just like the law of undulation. It's just ups and downs, but it always returns, until finally the spiral tightens and tightens and tightens, till there's nothing but just oneness. When that occurs within every one of our consciousness, the world in the outer changes because we finally changed in the inner. As long as we hold on to this belief, there will always be two in the field working. There will always be two in the thresh working. There will always be us working to keep it going. But the answer is to allow the end to come. Allow the end to come. It's a good thing. Once that occurs, then we're free. Free for what? Oh, you name it. Whatever you want. Whatever you were designed to be will suddenly become very clear to each and every one of us. Allow that to be. The end is near. Let's hope so. God bless.